In an ever-evolving digital landscape, for your business to thrive, you must adapt or die. Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI, the podcast helping you harness the power of AI and marketing tools to revitalize and grow your business. And now here's your host, marketing expert and author of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI, Emanuel Rose.
Welcome to this episode of Marketing in the Age of AI. Thanks for joining me. We're going to have a great episode today about ideal client profiles and both the strategy and the tactics and some up-and-coming tools that are AI-based. And I have two very experienced marketers joining me today, James Hipkin from Innately and Thad Barnes from Epic. And welcome, gentlemen, to Marketing in the Age of AI.
Hey, great to be here.
Thanks for having us, Emanuel. Good to be here.
Yeah, I really appreciate your time and taking this opportunity to share some of your insights. James, will you share a little bit about your background for the listeners?
Yeah, had a long career in marketing and advertising, 4 countries on 3 different continents. Worked with a lot of big brands, big budgets, big agencies, was in leadership roles in many of these situations. And 12 years ago, I had the opportunity to buy a vendor. And the vendor was focused on digital marketing production. I was managing the digital budget for Toyota at the time, and I'd been using this company. The owner wanted to get out. I needed something wanted to do something different. Websites are, one of the 2 digital assets that a business owns, and most of them are terrible. And the reason they're terrible is an absence of strategy. So I thought I could bring my experience and knowledge in marketing strategy and work and apply it to the world of websites. And that's what we've been doing for the past 12 years.
Yeah, that's amazing, and I love that you're able to bring the big budget strategy and tactics down to those of us who are still working for a living. So thanks for that, James. And Thad, you too. How about you share a little bit of your background for us?
Yeah. Well, I came up in the world of IT. So beginning at an early age, Dad bought our first computer in the early 80s, and I was enthralled ever since, and worked my way all the way up to being an IT director of a huge West Coast general contractor. And what I saw in that was how the strategic planning of the technology behind the company interfaced with all facets of it. But what interested me the most is how we could leverage that to get the contractor more work. And so that wasn't my department, but I supported them. And as I moved into wanting to be my own boss and kind of doing my own thing, it made sense for me to kind of move in that direction because it interested me. And kind of coupled with a degree in psychology, I'm very interested in what makes people do what they do, what makes them tick. And so it kind of led me to marketing because it really helps to know the psychology of people if you want to speak to them in their own language. So that's kind of the genesis of our agency and how we've proceeded forward, always looking for that leading edge of technology, and AI having been such a big part of that in the last 18 to 24 months, it made sense that, we embrace new technologies that leverage it.
Yeah, that's interesting. You guys are coming at it from IT and one from creative. So it's a really nice mix. I came to it through psychology also. And from just that good old fashioned desire to want to help people solve their problems. So it's been a learning process for me over the last 30 years in that. Well, what I really want to dig into is this ideal client profile or avatar development. And James, I'd love to hear your 30-second pitch on why people need to focus on this and how they can start to think about it if they're not already.
Well, let me paint a picture for you and for your audience. Imagine if you run into somebody on a street corner and they look you in the eye and then furiously start telling you all about themselves. Okay. How awesome they are, all the things they're doing, how cool they are. And then telling them and then explaining how they're going to help this person. Right? That's not going to work very well. But the truth of the matter is, most inexperienced marketers and most smaller business owners who have huge and wonderful expertise in what they do every day, they are not marketers. So this is what they do. They stand on the top of their building and they shout at the world in general about how awesome they are. And then they're wondering, why am I not getting traction? Why is this so hard? In the world of big brands and big budgets, we created tools called customer avatars and buyer's journey maps. And what the customer avatar is a representation of your best customers. And it consists of 4 quadrants. Demographics, what are they like physically? Characteristics, what are they like as people? What's their pain? What are they struggling with? What are the problems they're trying to solve? And then what's their gain from working with you? And that hierarchy and the order that I presented these to are very important. Demographics help you select media channels. If your audience is over 40 and a professional, you're wasting your time on TikTok.
Right.
I don't care what your nephew says.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
If you're talking to confident business executives, you're going to pitch what you're doing in a certain way. If you're talking to less confident consumers, you're going to pitch a different way. Understanding the characteristics of the audience is very important to how you talk about what you're doing. People are on their journey. I have in a presentation I do about the non-icky marketing funnel, the world's most boring slide. It's a white slide with a big gray blob on it. And I use this to represent, this is what's going on in your consumer's world. It's just digital noise. They're not hearing it. They're not seeing it. It's just washing over them. At best, you might be a dot in that gray blob until something happens and they have a need. And that's the beginning of the buyer's journey map. What happens? What stimulates their need? What's the process they go through when they're considering their options? What are the questions they're asking? What are the things they want to learn and find out about? What's the process they go through when they're prospecting? When they're actually trying to make a choice? They've got 2 or 3 options that they're picking from. What are the kinds of questions they're asking? What's the information they're looking for? It's not going to be the same. And then at the decision point, what are the key factors that influence the decision? That's the buyer's journey map. And if you understand those 2 things, the avatar and the buyer's journey map, you can start to craft marketing that's not shouting at them from the top of your building, but is actually engaging with them and supporting the journey that they're on. This builds relationship, this builds trust, and this makes the purchase the next logical step in their journey, not something they think they've been sold.
Right. Because you're actually solving and taking away that situation and moving them ahead in whatever the process that they're in.
Exactly. One of the more controversial things I do when I talk about website UX and design is I'll stand in front of a room of people and I will tell this whole room full of people, many of them are marketers, and I'll say, I need you to stop saying call to action, which of course makes everybody go, wait, what?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I've been told my entire career, I've got to have a call to action.
Yeah.
I said, call to action is a marketer shouting at customers and telling them what to do.
Yep. Nobody likes to be told what to do.
Nobody wants to be shouted at. Nobody wants to be told what to do.
Yeah.
So what I recommend is I need you to create people like you pathways. Because most businesses, 2 or 3 subsegments in their audience represents 80 or 90% of their revenue. You know who they are. Call out to them. Invite them to follow this pathway. And when they click that learn more button, 2 very powerful things have happened. They've told you exactly who they are, and they've given you permission to give them more information. Right? And with that information and your understanding of who they are from the avatar, and now you've supported their journey, you're just, I mean, it's hard not to make the sale.
Yeah. You become a trusted part of their circle
Right.
versus a salesman. Yeah. I love it.
Okay. But the question is, how does a small business owner do all of these wonderful things that James is droning on about? Right?
Yeah. That's always the challenge.
When I was running big budgets, $50,000 to do a research study around avatars and journey maps was not even rounding error.
Yeah.
Right. But for the average small business owner, it's like, oh my God, they get what I'm saying because it reeks of common sense. But how do they go about it? And that's what we've been focusing on from the point of view of AI and using machine learning to build a tool that the average business owner can use to get these 2 vital pieces of information to, be able to create non-icky marketing funnels.
Love it. Yeah, no, that's the real revolution of AI right there, is the bringing that down to a level where all of us can afford to do that critical work strategically. Thad, what about you? Where are you on the ICP/avatar process?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, especially as James mentioned, when you get down to the small business. We deal with a lot of really small businesses. Somebody's been doing nails for their friends, their girlfriends, their family, whatever, for years. And somebody says, you should just open a nail shop. They have no clue what to do, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times, even at small budgets, they don't necessarily have the wherewithal to hire someone to help them generate a client avatar. And I think that it's one of the things that even at that level, even with something as simple as a nail salon, is so critical, because do you want to work with everyone? Do you want to cater to high-end clients? Do you want people that only want, gel nails, for example, or only silk nails or whatever? But you still have to dial that in, even if at the end of the day, it's a very simple service that you're offering. I think that one of the main things that people can do is educate themselves on how AI can help with that. Not only just getting, a service that can help them do that, but how can they leverage AI themselves to understand what they offer, right? So how many businesses don't even know specifically what it is they offer? They just say, we do nails. What does that mean? So
Right.
helping clients dial that in. Okay, this is what we do. This is the problem that we solve. Now, who is it that benefits the most from that? How do we help them? Right. And that's one of the things that I talk with clients about all the time is you're not all things to everyone.
Right.
As a business owner myself, I want to work with every kind of business out there, but you have to dial it in and speak to those people. And I think that there's a book out there, Building the Brand Story, is very helpful in that, teaching you how to speak to your client, make them the hero of the story. It's a very similar kind of process in terms of the ideal customer avatar, is that if you can speak like them, they don't care about you. They don't care that I was in IT. They don't care that I was an athlete. They don't care anything about me.
Right.
They want to know about them.
Yep.
And so I think it's a two-way street as a marketer. How do we help our clients speak to their clients? Not just who are they, but how do we speak to them?
Yeah, well, that's good. And then what you triggered for me too was, even as a beginning business, was to have the AI do the market research and say, what's the competition like? what are the USPs or unique sales proposition of the competition in the marketplace, and where might my new company fit into the market, so I have a message that stands out. But I don't want to get down that rabbit hole. We're staying the ICP rabbit hole. So, so James, how would let's say a nail salon, or like I met a guy this weekend who was done working as a construction worker. He wants to be a handyman and start that service. You know, how does somebody in that type of small business service business start to think about ICPs, and what tools do they use?
Well, they can start. This is a bit of a shocking thing. Pick up the phone and call a customer.
Talk to somebody.
Exactly.
Do what?
I love it.
You know,
Yeah.
I was sitting there having my hair cut the other day, and I asked my barber, how's business? And he said, you know, it's kind of slow. I had to move my location because I lost my lease, and people are having trouble finding me, et cetera, et cetera. So I sort of, while getting my hair cut, took him through the process of mapping out his avatar, just talking to him. And then I said, and now who's your ideal customer? And he talked to me about who his ideal customer was. And his ideal customer was, you know, a business person, a successful guy who, you know, is probably working or is retired and has some money, and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, okay, so what makes you unique? And that stuck. He stopped.
Yeah.
He did not know how to respond to that. And I laughed and said, you know, Roger, I'm a lot like a lawyer. I don't ask questions I don't already know the answer.
Right. Yeah.
I said, your audience is busy, business people. They're working. They've got schedules. You have two things that set you apart from most barbers in town here. You take appointments, and you have a big parking lot right in front of the shop.
Nice. Yeah.
So I said, well, that's what your USP is. And he said, but that has nothing to do with cutting hair.
Right. That's the commodity. Yeah.
Exactly. That's the commodity.
Yeah.
Your ability to cut hair will get them back the second time.
Right.
But it's not going to get them in there the first time.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, I think I know I have that same habit of being the customer and the consultant at the same time, but I'm sure he appreciated the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so often it's just about, I mean, talk to people. Now, the tool that we're creating is built on that simple idea. We because of my background, you know, I know people, and much to my wife's amazement, people like me. And I reached out to a friend of mine who is one of these senior market researchers who used to do this work for me. And I said, hey, Susan, this is what I want to do. And she was looking for a way to, I mean, we've known each other for way more years than she wants me to talk about. And I said, she said, I'm looking for ways to take my knowledge and turn it into something where I can make money in my sleep.
Yep.
So I worked with her to develop an interview guide, a generic neutral interview guide with lots of brackets where people insert their own business name or product or whatever it might be.
Yep.
And that we're using, and we share that interview guide with a business owner. Business owner calls up their customers and says, can I talk to you for a few minutes? I need to ask you some questions. And they'll use the interview guide. They'll record the conversation. And then we drop the recordings into our tool. The tool transcribes the recording and does the analysis. We ask the customers to do 6 to 10 of these recordings. And we get enough data out of that to generate a really accurate and deep avatar and journey map, and a whole lot of quotes that we can pull out of this, so that we can pull how the customers talk about these things in their words.
Nice.
And this is, from a marketer's point of view, this is so valuable and so insightful in terms of, oh, this is what I need to talk about to attract people at the top of the funnel. These are the kinds of things. So I need to create content, informational content on my website that answers these kinds of questions. As they're making deeper in the funnel, they're going to get, they do a lot of comparison. So I'm going to do some product review blog posts where I'm reviewing myself and I'm reviewing the competition.
Yep.
And, that's deeper in the funnel. And then I'm going to create an email marketing program that talks to people in the right way using their language at each of the stages of their journey with me. Right. And all of that is possible because of another thing that I see frequently. A business owner has gotten to the point where, it's just too much for them. They're not experts in all of this. So they reached out and hire a little local digital marketing agency to help them. And what happens there is the business owner isn't terribly strategic from a marketing perspective.
Yep.
And this little boutique marketing agency isn't strategic either. They can execute like nobody's business.
Right.
But they're not strategic. So what you end up getting with is, before you had a whole lot of ugly, irrelevant marketing. Now you have a whole lot of pretty,
Beautiful.
clever marketing.
Yes.
But it's still not connecting.
Yeah.
Because of the absence of strategy. If you have the avatar and the journey map, that gives you the tools you need to create a campaign brief that really, really resonates with what customers are actually looking for.
Yeah. And you bring up a great point, James, with this kind of hyper local business and agency. And usually that business owner is in such a rush to get new leads and new sales and, that rush of needing the cash flow that they want to short circuit the whole process. And the agency has a hard time pulling the reins back and saying, if we don't do this for the first 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, however long it takes, we're wasting all the money.
Mm-hmm.
How many agencies get fired because of that, because of their inability to control a client, if you will, and say, this is the process. If you want to work with us, this is how we're going to help you, and we must follow these steps.
Right.
Yeah.
And the client's not really qualified to be able to assess all they have to see is, this looks so much better.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's really clever. It does look better and it is kind of clever, but it's not how the customer talks.
Right. Yeah. It's not resonating.
Yeah.
Well, Thad, what about you? How are you approaching this ICP issue now with or without the support of AI tools?
Well, I brought up the nail salon because we work with a gal who has a nail shop on Wilshire Boulevard, right in downtown Los Angeles, not downtown, but just off downtown Los Angeles, and she does amazing work. But she was kind of doing what James was talking about. I have amazing nails. We do all this great stuff, but what we helped her realize was that where are you? You're in the heart of some of the most glitz and glamour in the United States, if not the world, right?
Yeah.
So what do those people want? And this is what we helped her realize. And it sounds like James has a vast amount of experience in this, but talk to those people in a way that they have something unique. They don't want the same nails that everybody else has. And it turned out that this particular gal was trained in a specific nail art that comes out of Japan. And so nobody in LA was doing it. Nobody. So her clients are very exclusive. When they go to a red carpet event, everybody likes, they like to show off the bling on their nails and those kinds of things, their toenails. They're getting compliments like you can't believe because no one's seen anything like this.
Yeah, that's
she
awesome.
uses Swarovski crystals on their nails. Like one hand costs, a grip of cash, right? So I think that like what James was talking about is you have to step back as a marketer and see the bigger picture, because they're so focused on what it is that they do and how great that is, that they're not seeing how this interacts with the rest of the world and the community around them, especially if they're a small shop. So getting them to talk about that to those people in a way that they can understand, that's very specifically what we did with this client. And um, now she's booked 3 months out.
Wow.
Because she's become the only game in town. Nobody else in LA is doing this. So we use some AI to help with idea generation and things like that. But in general, I'm not training the clients, or we're not showing them how to leverage AI.
Yeah.
But what we do use AI for is conversation starters on the back end, not with a nail client, but with other clients where we can do automated conversations. If they're a solopreneur, they don't have time to sit on Facebook Messenger because the leads are generating, message leads all day. They don't have time to sit on LinkedIn and DM people all day long. They're doing the work. They are, doing nails. They are doing yard work. They're cutting down trees, whatever it is. And so we leverage AI once they know who it is they're going to get in touch with. We leverage AI to further that nurture sequence, to make sure that they become the authority. They are the go-to person. And for me, that's where AI has the most benefit for our clients, is on the back end that they don't even have to deal with.
Nice. Well, that's good. So James, with this new tool that you're working on, what's kind of what kind of timeline are we on before it'll be in the marketplace?
Well, we're in deep into beta testing right now. We're actively looking for beta testers. So this is an opportunity for someone, if they want to get in early. So we've got a program for that, and we're hoping to be able to launch it in a minimally viable product format early, sometime in September. So we're very close.
Well, that's outstanding. And if people want to get in touch with you and understand more about what you're doing, how do they do that?
The best way to connect with me is to go to vipchatwithjames.com, and that I know it's old school, but I really like to talk to people. I want to find out what they need. I'm notorious with my clients, which is possibly why I've had so many of them for 7, 8, and 9 years, for saying no. I'd really like to take your money, but that's a really bad idea, and here are the 4 reasons why.
Yeah.
And I can't do that if I'm not talking to someone. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times people have called us up about a website they want, and I listen to them and talk to them and ask a bunch of questions. And I'm like, no, you don't need a website. Not yet. It's too early. Go out and find out if people are willing to buy what it is you're trying to sell.
Yeah.
Figure that out. Then come back to me, because websites, even inexpensive platforms, it still takes a lot of time and money. And the only thing I can guarantee you about the website is that it's out of date the moment it's published.
Yeah.
So take your time to learn. So vipchatwithjames.com, and let's talk about what you're trying to accomplish. And if I've got something that makes sense for you, I'll share that with you. And if I can send you to somebody else, I'll do that too.
I love it. And then they can also find you on Amazon, right?
Yes.
I love your book. Talk about your book.
I wrote the book during the pandemic. It's a parable. Business books are boring. So I wrote it as a story, and it's a story about John and his family, and they had a little custom bike shop, and they were getting killed by the online markets. And they just decided, we have to do something about this. So it's their story of their journey into the world of digital marketing, the mistakes they made, the bad choices they made. And, at some point they brought in a guy that they'd heard about. His name is Kyle, which is my alter ego, who gave them some good advice and got them. And then it's that whole follows the journey from doing nothing to being quite successful using digital marketing to grow their business.
All right. It's an important read for people who are just getting educated on it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And Thad, how do people get in touch with you?
Well, they can email me, Thad at epicdm.com. It's epoch, like an epoch of time. They can come to our website, epicdm.com, or they can call me directly. I'll give you our company number is 775-402-9913. And like James, I like to talk to people. I find it interesting to see all these people that have solutions to a problem that doesn't exist, right? So it kind of goes along with that, knowing who it is that you're trying to solve a problem for before you create the solution. We're not all Apple, where we can just create a product and then generate demand, right?
All right. All right. Well, it's awesome. I thank both of you guys for taking the time to have a conversation with me again, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
It's been great, Emanuel. Thank you so much. James, always a pleasure.
It was a pleasure, Thad. And thank you so much, Emanuel. It's always a pleasure to chat with you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emanuel on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening,